on the set over there.
You're going.
Hi everyone, welcome to Thrive Thursday. I'm Jen Fredericks here with Jill Bakke and Shane Reed, and we are discussing Jill's article entitled Redefining Success. And I have a whole lot of thoughts on this, but first I'm going to go to Jill and get some of her inspiration for writing the article and what came up for you while you were going through that exercise.
I'm not sure. This is a little bit of a strange one for me. The guys in the office know that it took a lot to figure out what I wanted to say this week, and I don't necessarily know why that sometimes happens, but where I landed was this place of redefining success, because we talk to people all the time, and really externally labeled successful people that own businesses, people that have done well financially, people that have done well health-wise, people that have good relationships, and yet there's this gap in them allowing themselves to feel successful or labeling themselves as successful. And it's not isolated to just success. We do it in all kinds of different places, is my awareness. We do it with confidence. We do it with success. We do it with being good enough. And there are these sort of arbitrary labels that most of us have a really hard time attaining, and the only reason we view them as being hard to attain is because we haven't defined what they are. And so every time we take a positive step or we move forward in our lives, this idea of being good enough or being successful or being confident continues to be arm's length ahead of us. And it's really a matter of defining those concepts and getting clear on what those mean for you and what those measures actually are, because otherwise you're measuring yourself against a moving target in an arbitrary measuring stick. And because of our ability to self-degrade and not feel good enough, that measuring stick, if we can use it against us, then instead of showing us why we are successful, we're using it to beat ourselves up and illustrate why we're not successful. And so in any life story, we can find instances where we are successful, and we can define that however we want. There have been days where, man, I got out of bed today, high five to me, that is a success. And then there are other things where, it's a looming project or it's something that's gone on for a while, and I could define that as something that I wasn't successful at, or something didn't go the way that I thought it was supposed to. So at all times, this measure of success is open for interpretation. And if you don't take the time to recognize that those definitions need to be set, and you have to determine for yourself what those measures are going to look like, we set ourselves up for beating ourselves with the yardstick. So that's sort of where it came from and how we got to this place.
And for me, one of the interesting points is that you kind of look at it, or you came at it from a deficit kind of a thing, like a moving target sort of a place. And one of my fears around saying success or whatever, defining yourself or something you're doing as successful, is that the fear of not complacency, or just, I'm a success, I've arrived. When in actuality, I believe that our human nature just doesn't allow us to be in the same place. So once again, then it goes back to the moving target.
Well, and it's an undefined fear. So
Yes.
I'm afraid that if I let myself feel successful, then I won't be driven to move forward. But we often don't take the science experiment to see if that's actually true. If I was actually nice to myself and I allowed myself to feel good about the things I do and who I am, does that mean I would stop doing good things and improving who I am? And the invitation is, do the science experiment.
Yeah.
Let's not assume that just because I'm good to myself and I've built a good relationship where I speak to myself in a loving way and I allow myself to feel successful, my hypothesis to all of you would be, you might be surprised how much faster you move forward when you're not consistently punching yourself in the face. So that is a common, or people are going to think I'm arrogant. If I allow myself to feel successful, then I'll be judged as arrogant, and all of those things, they're just simply not the same stories.
Well, and this might blow y'all's mind, but I'm sitting here and all of a sudden I'm coming up with redefining success in sports.
What?
No
sports!
I know. So So we tell our kids, right, it's black and white. You win or you lose. You're a success if you win. You're a failure if you lose. But I know that you all dabble a lot in youth sports and college sports, collegiate sports, and in your own sports hobbies as well, and love the way that you redefine success around whether or not there's winning or losing involved. And I was wondering if you might touch on that real quick. It's kind of going down the rabbit hole, but the fact that came into my mind is bizarre enough that I had to mention it.
Well, I think the really simple answer to that, Jen, is there are a couple of different ways to look at success. There's outcome-based success, what's the score on the board at the end of the game, and then there is moment-to-moment success, because in any sport, that ultimate goal or that ultimate win is based on a million moments from the time the clock starts or the inning starts to the end of the game. Yeah. And so when we start to redefine success, it does have a really significant role in sport. The volleyball world is next point, what's the next point, what's the next point? In baseball, it's what's the next pitch, what's the next pitch? And the more we can look at the moment-to-moment successes as opposed to waiting for that one measure, and we can do it at work too. I had a productive morning. That's a success. Does it mean that tomorrow I'm getting a promotion? No, it means that this morning was a success, and those moments of success are what are going to breed those higher elevations of success. And yet, if I don't give myself credit for the good morning, then even when I do get the promotion, there's a really good chance I'm not going to give myself credit for that either. Right. And so if I'm a person that judges only by the win at the end of the game, there's a really good chance that I'm not even going to let myself feel good about that, because I'm not in the practice of celebrating the process of what it takes to get to that end game.
I love that.
And then you get to a funny space where if you do define yourself as just that outcome, you get in this super weird space where it's, well, I should have won, right? Because that's who I am. I'm cool. This is a cool thing, but there's you don't get to enjoy it then. Then it's just it happened.
Right. You also really, really significantly lower your opportunities, because now I have to wait until I'm on the court or I'm on the field, and when I'm in that competitive situation, now that's my only opportunity for success. And if I don't achieve success, then I have to wait a whole nother day or a whole nother week or a whole nother season to get another shot at it. Whereas if you redefine success as who am I being moment to moment, and how am I determining if that's who I want to be in those moments, then I have the opportunity to achieve success sustained over and over and over again.
Sustainability is
That's
so
awesome.
huge.
Right, because eventually, we all get old, and we might not be able to experience competition in the way we used to. And now if I'm dependent on that in order to feel valuable and feel successful, well, I've created a pretty rough story for myself. And we see that in athletes, where they
100%.
then have to completely go back and redefine who they are as human beings, because the measures that they've been using were dependent on circumstances instead of here in how I'm speaking to myself and how I'm navigating myself.
Well, and bringing it back to a court that I'm more comfortable in, that goes for achievers as well. And what I'm seeing is, what I used to feel is that my success was all grounded in my next milestone that I reached. Oh, I graduated high school. Oh, I
got the grade.
I got the grade. I got the job. And then what? And then what? And then what? And so what I love about your article, Redefining Success, is taking the time to discern for yourself what your definition of success is and how you can be successful in each moment of your day, not dependent on what court you're in home, on the court, at work.
And not dependent on how familiar you are with the story that you're currently in.
Yeah.
So when you find yourself in a foreign territory, uncharted territory in your life, which we all do, we are experiencing a death, we have a job loss, we have something that goes on, and now we're in uncharted territory. If we're only set up to experience success by the outcome of those stories, we're really positioning ourselves to struggle way more than we maybe need to. Whereas if I can successfully navigate today and I can go through my days, then it doesn't matter what external stories are going on, I can still experience that good feeling of knowing that I'm doing it, that I've got this, no matter what life brings to me.
Very cool. That was a lot of information in a short amount of time, but I sort of feel like I want to wrap up because you sort of hit the nail on the head there at the end with the, I've got this. In each moment, I can be successful in each moment because I know that I am being me, and I am loving myself as I hit whatever my success definition is for myself in that moment.
Yeah. Life is going to bring enough challenges, and so when we really learn to be kind and gentle and adopt an understanding within ourselves of success and redefine that, then as life brings challenges, which it's going to, now I'm not getting beaten up from two angles, right? At least this part of it I can control, and I can be kind and gentle and good enough. And then it levels the playing field. And now I can handle the things that life brings me in such a different way.
Awesome. I really enjoyed the shift in perspective that your article brought.
Thank you.
And thank you, Shane and Jill, for joining me today. If you enjoyed this glimpse into a shift in perspective that you can have in your thinking and the way that you're navigating your life, I think you'd really also enjoy our next class that's coming up called Human Progress Training. Go to thrivehumancapital.com and take a look there. We're going to start January 24th, helping you see and helping guide you to your own shifts and perspectives in multiple areas of your life and how you are navigating. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Bye.
Thanks.